Hey y'all, Teresa here. First off, I may look different because I'm not wearing my glasses. Now, I'm someone who always wears my glasses. I don't wear contacts. So, I might look a little different. If I'm not looking at you, it's because I literally can't see. I am very, very nearsighted. My glasses are broken, and unless I wear a hat, they keep falling off my face like a beanie. So I didn't really want to wear a beanie to film every single video that I'm doing. So until I get my glasses fixed, I'm just going to be filming without them on, and maybe I can get contacts so I can always film without them on. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, normally I do wear glasses, so just putting that out there. Today's video is going over my 10 reading goals for 2020. I'm gonna tell you what they are and then kind of give a little bit of a backstory as why that particular goal is on my list this year. These are in no particular order. Like, I don't have like a number one goal and like a least sought after goal. They're just that in the order that I thought of them. So that's just how this is gonna go. Goal number one is to read more physical books. By this I mean take an actual book, like a physical copy, and read the physical words. Now, if you have seen like my first two videos I put out on this channel, you may know that I have difficulty with my cognitive functioning at times due to Lyme disease. And so lately I've been getting in the habit of just listening to audiobooks. For me, audiobooks are actually a lot easier to get in books. For one, they're just like easier because you can drive while listening, or you can listen to audiobooks while you're driving, cooking, taking a shower, whatever. You know, you can like listen to audiobooks all over the place, where reading, physically reading, you don't have as many opportunities to physically read a book. And for whatever reason, listening to something is easier for me to comprehend and retain information than if I'm reading something, which is really funny because when I was younger, when I was first like in high school and then first in college or starting college, it was the opposite for me. I was always someone who'd prefer to just read something and then do it. Like, I didn't have to be shown how to do it. I didn't have to like listen to someone explaining it. I could just read directions and just go. Like, that was my learning style. Unfortunately, due to the fact that my disease has gotten worse and my cognitive functioning has gotten worse, my learning style has changed, and now I need to watch someone do something or listen to them. But I don't want to be in this slump of just doing audiobooks, because I can physically read. It's not like I am unable to physically read, it's just more difficult for me at times. So my goal is to read more physical books, push myself kind of out of this lazy zone that I've been in, because it's just easier to do an audiobook, right? Well, I want to retrain my brain and start working on relearning things that I have lost due to my illness. And one of those things is reading more critically. And I don't think you can read as critically if you're listening to an audiobook than when you're actually reading a physical book. And I may be wrong on this, but I just find with myself personally, I think when I'm able to hold a book in my hands, when I'm holding a book in my hands and I'm able to physically read it, I can like stop and go back and think about what I just read, more so than if I'm on an audiobook and it's reading to me. I mean, I can always rewind and stuff, but just having the book in front of you, there's something about it that it just makes it easier for me to think more critically about. So that is why I want to start reading more physical books in the year 2020. Goal number two is to read a lot more nonfiction books. I used to be huge on nonfiction. I am obsessed with animals, and not just animals, but like learning about animal behavior. I read a lot of science books. Like, I used to read science textbooks, like biology textbooks, for fun. Like, I'm that weird kid that grew up reading encyclopedias because I liked it. So I used to read nonfiction all the time. I just haven't lately. I've been really into reading fiction, and not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, for me personally, I kind of miss not reading, or I kind of miss nonfiction. I miss these books that a lot of them would have to do with like true crime, I guess could be. I mean, that's nonfiction, right? So a lot of like profiling and true crime books, detective type of things that I really enjoy. I don't read a lot of like biographies or memoirs or anything like that, but there are a few people who I would really love to read their books. Basically reading a lot of more science-minded types of nonfiction related to animals or veterinary work or anything that has to do with like within the animal care field is stuff that I'm extremely interested in, and that's kind of what I want to read more of. Goal number 3 is learn how to annotate. I've never learned how to annotate a book. It seems like it would be quite simple, but I've just never done it. And I think when I got to the age where I was like a freshman in college is really when my mind started to struggle with critical thinking. And so, you know, I was wanting to take these advanced classes and then ended up not being able to just because of health reasons. And I never learned these skills about annotating and critical reading. I mean, I learned them when I was younger, but I lost a lot of that coming into my adulthood. So I want to relearn it and learn how to annotate. And I really think this is going to help me, like I said, along with goal number 1, is really help retrain my brain to understand and be able to read a story not just for like the fun of it, which I mean is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are some books that I think the authors, even like fiction and stuff, or not fiction, but specifically, I know contemporary does this a lot, where the author is trying to tell a story about real life and using fictional characters in fictional situations to talk about real life problems or real life stuff. And I don't read contemporary really at all, so I really want to start doing this with like fantasy and my thriller and all that, and just diving deeper into it and seeing like, does the author have an alternative motive for writing this, or what do they really mean? Like dive deeper into the words, into the meaning of things. And I hope you all know what I'm talking about, because I know a lot of people do annotate their books, so hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. So that is something I'm definitely excited about, is to finally learn how to annotate my books. And if you're watching this and you know how, could you please like give me tips, inform me. If you are a YouTuber or a booktuber, could you like make a video about it? That would be really amazing. I'm sure there probably are videos out there, I just haven't looked yet, but that is something that I'm really excited about actually, is learning how to do this. And I'm hoping again that it will allow me to be a better reader. Goal number 4 is to read at least 1 book a week. And this might seem insane to some of you, and to some of you this might seem like a really easy goal. For me in the past, it has been easy and insane at the same time. What I mean is, there have been times like throughout the year where I'll have amazing reading. Like I'll read like literally a book a day. Usually that's like during a readathon or something like that. But there are times when I'm just like devouring books and I can read a couple a week or something. But then there are times when I go a month or 2 without picking up anything. And I really want to be more consistent, especially since I'm doing a booktube channel now. I'm really hoping that this will keep me more consistent in my reading. And it doesn't mean I have to like finish a book every week. I would like to do that because I am a fairly fast reader. I think that is very possible for me to do. It's just I would like to make sure that I'm constantly reading or have something like audiobook or something going on, so I'm not just taking months at a time and forgetting to read, because sometimes that just happens. And these goals, of course, just so y'all know and so I can remember for myself too when I watch this video back, these are not like set in stone. Like I'm going to be really upset with myself if I don't make these goals. I am a very competitive person, so I probably still will be upset with myself if I don't make these goals. But this is just kind of a general outline for how I want my year to go, and I'm really hoping that I can stick with these as much as possible. Goal number 5 is to read adult fantasy and adult sci-fi. I read a ton of YA fantasy and a little bit of YA sci-fi. Not that I don't like it, it's just I don't find it as often as there's fantasy. I know there's a lot of YA fantasy out there, but I don't really read adult. And I think the main reason why I've stayed away from it is not necessarily that it's too difficult. Sometimes it is because the books are freaking huge. Like you have tomes that are just like massive works of art or works of literature that I'm kind of like, oh, that's a lot. But for me, it's more so the fact that I have found a lot of adult books include smutty scenes in their books. I'm not a fan of smut at all. So I've kind of stayed away from the more fantastical books because just from the few that I have read, I've been like, okay. Now, it's not to say like I'm not gonna read a book with it. Like Girl on the Train is probably one of my favorite books of all time. Like it's up there as one of my top favorite books of all time. But I didn't like Gone Girl at all. So I don't know, maybe that kind of gives you an idea. If you've read those books, you can kind of get an idea of like what kind of stuff I like. But I don't mind a little bit here and there. It's just, it gets old. And for me, you know, like that's not my thing. I'm not into that. And I just like whatever, if they do their thing, that's fine. Just please don't describe it in like graphic detail, because like I don't need to read that. Okay, I'm good, thank you. So I think I've been kind of scared away from it in that sense of like I'm scared like of the content. Not that I'm like scared of it, but I'm like I just know I don't like reading that kind of stuff. So I've been worried that that kind of stuff is in these types of books. So actually, if you guys have any recommendations for me of like great fantasy sci-fi books that don't have a lot of smut in them, if any at all, I would really appreciate it. I'm sure there are a ton out there. I just haven't found them. But again, I haven't really looked either. So I'm kind of like, well, it's my own dang fault. But I really want to read adult stuff. Like I read Lord of the Rings and like loved Lord of the Rings. And I read that when I was really little. So, you know, it's not that don't like them, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm rambling. So we're gonna go on to the next goal now. Goal number 6 is read more from my bookshelves. Yeah, I am notorious for buying books, putting them on my shelves, and then going to the library and reading all my library books. I mean, I love the library. I adore the library. I have the Libby app, and so I listen to audiobooks all the time, and I'm there for my library. So I don't read a lot of the books that are on my shelves, and I really need to. A lot of the reasons why I go to the library is because I don't have a lot of money, and so I'm not able to go out and buy a lot of new releases. And these books, a majority of these books were either wanting giveaways on Goodreads, or I got at like thrift stores, or they were given to me for free, like garage sales, or you know, stuff like that. Majority of the books that I own, I have not purchased at full price. I mean, not even like half price. Most of them are like 75%, if not lower, off is the books that I personally buy. And so a lot of like the new releases and things that have come out in the past few years are not that cheap. And I really like to read new releases and things. So I go to the library and I pick up these books, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just I have neglected my bookshelves in a very long time. I used to only have books on my shelves that I had read and liked. Like if I read a book and I don't like it, I will unhaul it. I don't keep it on my shelves. But over the past few years, I've been finding a lot more books, and then I put them on my shelves with plans to read them and then never read them. So my goal is to read mostly from my bookshelves this year. Hopefully not haul a whole bunch of new ones, because I need to read my back stock like pretty badly. And then also kind of cut back a little bit on the library. That sounds like terrible, but I mean, like, I have all these books already. Like I don't need to go to the library. So I'm not like buying new books and stuff going to the library. I'm just literally just reading what I already own. So I guess that's kind of my goal. Goal number 7 is to make sure that I unhaul books that I do not like. Really soon I'm going to go through my bookshelves again and unhaul books that just quite frankly I don't think I'm ever going to get to. You know, and I bought them for a reason. I thought I would like them. But sometimes you grow out of things, or if a book's been sitting on your shelf for 5 years and you're like, oh, I haven't read you yet, am I ever going to read you? Probably not. To me personally, there's no point in keeping it. So I really want to get better at reading my books, but then when I do, if it's not a book that I'm particularly fond of, or something that I'm just like about, unhauling it, get rid of it, and have more space on my bookshelves for books that I actually really love and really enjoy. Goal number 8 is to do some book reviews. Part of that is with starting this channel. I would love to be able to come on here and do some book reviews. As I mentioned, with my cognitive issues, that can be a bit difficult for me. So I'm really hoping that by learning how to annotate, by critically reading, then I can also maybe come on here and give some pretty decent book reviews for you guys. And there's so many books that I have that I want to talk about. I just need to sit down and actually like do it. So that is definitely a goal of mine in 2020, is to do some dang book reviews. Goal number 9 is to read at least one book from every major genre. Now I know there are tons of like minor genres within big genres, but I want to read at least one book from every like mainstream genre. So that's like thriller, suspense, mystery, contemporary, romance, sci-fi, fantasy, poetry, short stories, nonfiction. I'm sure I'm missing some. And then I'm not doing, like, I don't care if it's YA or adult at this point. I'm like, if I read a fantasy book that's a YA, I'm just going to count it as like my fantasy book, period. Of course, I would like to read both YA and adult in certain genres, but for the most part, I just want to read something of every genre, because I feel like I've been really stuck in this rut of like, it's thriller, suspense, and it's YA fantasy, and that's like all I read. That's it. So I really want to branch out my reading taste and see, maybe I like other genres. I just don't realize that I do because I don't really read them. And I'm going to give contemporary another try, and I'm going to give romance another try. I'm pretty dang sure that romance is just not my thing, but I'm going to give it a try. You know, I mean, it's not going to kill me to read books out of my comfort zone. And who knows, maybe I find that I really, really love a specific genre that I thought I didn't like because I just never read books from them. Actually, I'm going to put a list down below of all the genres that I personally can think of. If you can think of any other genres, would you please add to that list? And I'm talking like major dramas, so I'm not talking like genres. Like, there are sub-genres. I want just the major, big, overbranching genres, just so I can say, yes, I've read a book from each of these things. And then, of course, you know, if I really like a specific genre, I can dive into the subgenres. But I think it would be a really interesting experiment to read, you know, all these books from all these different genres and see what I think. Because there are some genres that, like, I haven't read any books from at all. So I'm like, how do I know I don't like them if I don't read from that genre, right? Anyways, if you could help me out and let me know, like, maybe you have some great books of specific genres that are like, just like, everyone needs to read this. So if you could leave that in the comment section too, that would be super cool, because some things I'm like, I don't even know what this is considered. Like, what should I read? And number 10, this is kind of funny because I think I kind of mentioned this already, but goal number 10 is to pare down my library TBR. I have so many books from the library that are just like, they sounded good, so I'm like, oh, I'll just put this on hold, or I'll put it on my for later shelf so that I can come back to it. And I'm not saying like I don't want to read those books. I just think like the main thing is, it's not necessarily pare it down as like get rid of books I want to read or like unsave them. I think it's more in the sense of like, only check out so many books a month, because that's another thing I do too, is I go to the library and I like get overwhelmed and I'm like, oh, these books, and I come home with like 15 books. Well, I don't read all these books in the time period that I should. I end up renewing them over and over and over and over again, because, or just returning them and be like, shoot, I need to renew that or get that again because I didn't read it. So I think the main part of this goal would actually be like, just be more conscientious with the books I bring home and only get so many from the library that I'm going to read. And you know what I mean? Like, don't just be like, I need everything, and then get them all at once and then be like, I can't read all these because I'm reading the bookshelves and I'm reading audiobooks and I have this and that. Whoa. So that is basically the thing, is be more conscientious, however you say that word, of books I'm bringing home from the library. Make sure they're books I actually really want to read, and that I don't bring more home than what I can handle. Those are my 10 goals for 2020. I hope that this video was informative. I don't even know what this video would be, but if you have any suggestions, comments, critiques, anything for me, please do comment down below and let me know. I would really appreciate your feedback, guys, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!